play the role of Chad, and he is a roving roustabout with a song in his soul and the love for the ladies. And he is a young man who comes out of prison, and while he's traveling, he comes across this small Midwestern town in the late 1950s, and he causes a little havoc. He kind of puts a spell under this town and lets them live a life that they've always wanted to live. They're under this decency act that this mayor has put upon them, and he revives them through this jukebox, and they go crazy. And without kind of knowing it, he plays Cupid to a lot of people. So he's also kind of this lovebird in the town.
Our show is about a girl named Natalie who lives in a small town in the Midwest, and she's kind of searching for something. And at the top of our show, we have this motorcycle roustabout who's kind of a mix between a James Dean and Harold Hill type. Comes to town and has this great effect not only on Natalie, but on the entire town. And it's through this music that he's playing, this kind of rock and roll music with the songs of Elvis Presley.
I play the role of Natalie Holler, and she's the town mechanic. She spends most of her days in coveralls, and she's a total tomboy. And she is a young woman who is waiting for something, but she doesn't know what. And she's not really able to articulate what her dream is until she meets Chad, and he sort of inspires her to set aside the comfortable and jump into what she's always known she wanted but could never really say.
Always lived a very quiet life. I never did no wrong.
Sylvia is the bar owner of a very dreary town, and she has a 16-year-old daughter, so it is challenging, needless to say. The song happens in a moment where Sylvia and Jim is telling Sylvia to wake up and live, because he's had that epiphany, if you will, by meeting Sandra. And he says to Sylvia in a point-blank way, for the first time in the show, "You're dead inside." And there's this magical moment that takes place, and he leaves her standing on stage, and the song that comes to her is, "I can't help falling in love with you," because that's the moment that she becomes alive again.
I played Jim Holler. He owns the local gas station, and his daughter is Natalie, who is our young leading lady, who is the grease monkey, but really secretly she falls in love with Chad. And he himself unfortunately lost his wife 3 years ago, so he is having trouble moving on from that. And over the course of the show, he actually reconnects and moves on with his life and meets a lovely, wonderful woman.
I was lucky enough to direct the U.S. regional premiere of All Shook Up at Musical Theater West in 2008. And at the time, our director, Charlie Williams, who was only 19 back then, I had just given him his equity card in the Pajama Game the show before. And I kind of had to direct the show under duress because Larry Rabin, our beloved Larry Rabin, was supposed to direct it. He got Leo Bloom and the producers in Las Vegas, and all the other directors were taken, so my executive director forced me to direct the show. And I gotta tell you, it was a love-hate relationship. I'd never done a jukebox musical before. I tried to make it work, because I never think jukebox musicals work. And it ended up becoming this guilty pleasure show for me that I absolutely loved. And I promised Charlie Williams in 2008 that if I ever produced the show again, he would choreograph it. And his career has gone on so much that in New York last year, I said, well, how would you like to direct and choreograph it? And he said, absolutely. And so I just think it's fate.
Now I know that life without you has been too long. One night with you is what I'm now praying for.
So what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting wild as a bug. I'm in love. I'm all shook up.
Moonlight Cultural Foundation is the fundraising arm for Moonlight Stage Productions. The foundation, board of directors are all so pleased to support All Shook Up this season. All Shook Up is about one person's opportunity to change and inspire an entire community. You as a donor and supporter have that opportunity to do the same thing. We invite you to join us as we celebrate the 35th anniversary and dream big with us as we look towards the future.
Friends say I'm acting wild as a bug, I'm in love, I'm all shook up.